Today's video is one with some very sad news. Here you see my two modern laptops, the Lenovo ThinkPad T400 and the Dell Latitude 3330. Both of these computers are dead. I'm not kidding. They died for separate reasons at separate times, but very close to each other, and it's just the most horrible coincidence ever. Here's the story. So this has been more or less my spare laptop. I've been primarily using the ThinkPad here. Starting about, well, I guess 3 or 4 weeks ago, the ThinkPad developed a problem where the display flickers quite violently. Not the backlight, but the image itself. And it got worse and worse over time, and now this computer, it still works, but it's pretty much unusable now because the display flickers really violently. It's sort of a periodic flicker. It flickers and then settles down for a couple of seconds and then flickers again every couple of seconds. But it's really violent flickering, and you just cannot look at it without getting a headache. So this thing started doing that a few weeks ago, and it's really bad now. I've been told that it could be either the motherboard or the display itself, but without knowing for sure which component it is, I really don't want to put any more money into this thing to fix it if I accidentally buy the wrong part and it still has the problem. In addition to this, this computer has another problem that developed a few months ago. I'm not sure if I ever mentioned it, but this USB port on the right side stopped working. I was just using it one day, and I all of a sudden started smelling a burning smell, the smell of like really hot electronics. And the computer had a message show up on the... I turned the computer off because I knew it was coming from the computer, but I didn't know what it was. And when I turned it back on, a message came up at post that said that there was a USB overcurrent error, as if something was drawing too much current from the USB port. And I felt my hand around on the laptop, and it felt super hot right around this area, right next to this USB port. And I was able to take the laptop apart because it turns out this USB port's on a daughter board that plugs into the motherboard with a little cable. So I was able to take this apart and just pull that cable, remove power from this USB port, and that fixed the problem, and the computer became usable again, although obviously that USB port no longer works. Super strange problem. I did some reading, and I haven't been able to find anything where this is a problem that happens. It just seems like a freak anomaly that happened on this computer. So I lost that USB port, and I actually bought the replacement port for it, $3 part on eBay. New daughter board and everything that I was going to put in there, but I never got around to it. But then this display thing happened, and between the display and the USB port, and putting in a new USB port would have meant taking the entire computer apart, which I wasn't a fan of doing when I replaced the CPU. I certainly didn't think I'd ever have to do it again. So between the port and now the display, I decided to retire this computer. And I was gonna, move all my data off this and switch to the Dell Latitude 3330 as my main laptop. Well, fast forward to a couple of days ago, I finished moving all my data off the ThinkPad onto an external hard drive, and I go to turn this thing on, and it doesn't turn on anymore. It is completely 100% dead. For no reason. I last used this thing like a month ago, and it worked perfectly. Put it away. I come back to it a couple of days ago to begin using it full time as my main laptop. Completely dead for absolutely no reason. When it turned on, it flashed the 4 LEDs on the front: power, hard drive activity, battery, and Wi-Fi activity. They serve as the diagnostic lights. And when I turned it on, I found that the battery and Wi-Fi lights lit up solid, and the hard drive activity light blinks. And I looked it up on Dell's website, and that's a error code meaning a CPU failure. So I go to turn this thing on after it's always worked perfect, and now it just throws a CPU failure error. I took this thing all apart, reseated connectors on the motherboard, The CPU is permanently soldered onto the motherboard, so there's no reseating to do there. I reseated the CPU heatsink. I tried different memory modules. I tried just one memory module. There's absolutely nothing I've been able to do. I unplugged the CMOS battery, tried to reset the CMOS. I've tried absolutely everything that I could think of and that was suggested to me. And this thing is totally dead. And I'd like to think if I turned it on right now, it would suddenly pop back to life for no reason. But you can see I hit the power button, and caps lock light flashes when the keyboard initializes. And that's all you get. The power LED turns on, and it'll stay like that for like a minute or two. And then it'll eventually switch to the flashing hard drive light and the two other lights on solid. And there it goes now. And that's a standard Dell Latitude, legacy Dell Latitude diagnostic code, meaning a CPU failure. And that's it. And actually it won't turn off now until I remove the battery, so I'll just go ahead and remove the battery. So that's it. I go to turn this thing on, pretty excited for it to become my main laptop. Excited to put the 8 gigs of RAM from the ThinkPad into this, because this thing has only 4 gigs of RAM. And it's completely dead. And that's just all there is to it. My two only modern laptops. This is literally the worst luck ever. And especially because, like, when I'm with mom and stuff, and obviously don't have my desktop computer available to me, all I have is a laptop. And now my only two modern laptops are dead. So now the newest fully working laptop I have is the Dell Inspiron 1525. And that computer's 10 years old now, and I haven't used it full time in years. And the thing is, while I could get that computer up and running, and I actually bought of course this thing has an mSATA SSD in it. I actually bought a cheap mSATA to 2.5-inch SATA adapter so that I could put the 64 gig SSD from this thing into the Inspiron, maybe give it a little bit of a speed boost. Although I did that, I'm not confident that a 10-year-old Core 2 Duo Intel GMA 950 graphics based computer, and I don't even have enough RAM to put in it because it takes DDR2 RAM. All I have in it's like 2 gigs, I think. I was absolutely not confident that the Dell Inspiron 1525 was going to meet the needs I need for a computer now. You know, something that I can decently browse the web with and watch YouTube videos and stuff like that. So here's what I did. Yesterday I decided to go on eBay, and although I'm broke as hell, this is sort of a small necessity. So I went on eBay and I looked at used laptops, and I found a nice used laptop, newer laptop, and I bought it. I bought a Lenovo ThinkPad T400S, and I'm pretty excited to get it. It's coming to my to Mom's post office box in the United States, so I won't get it for another 2 or 3 weeks. But I'm pretty excited to get it and hopefully work just fine. Parts from this unit, like the 8 gigs of RAM and the Ultra Bay battery and the charger, they'll all carry over to it. The 64 gig SSD from this will carry over to it because the T420S has an mSATA slot in addition to a normal hard drive slot. And yeah, I bought one. I got a pretty fair price for it. It's in pretty good condition. Just cosmetic wear on the lid, which is par for the course for a ThinkPad with the rubber coating. And yeah, I decided to just go ahead, rather than try my luck with the Dell Inspiron 1525 and probably be miserable, just go ahead and buy another laptop. I really can't afford it with my life situation right now, and I'm going to have a big update video coming on this channel pretty soon regarding just talking about what my life situation is right now. But I decided to do it. Pretty excited to get it. And what I'm hoping I can do to make up at least some of the money that I paid for it is sell this and sell this. And I think the fact that I decided not to try my luck with the Dell Inspiron 1525 means that I really have no reason to keep the Dell Inspiron 1525 anymore. So I think I'm gonna try and sell that too. The fact that I decided to disregard it as a potentially usable computer means I should just get rid of that too, because there's no reason for me to own it. It's not old enough to be, you know, used for vintage uses, and it's not new enough to be usable for real world purposes. So I think I should sell that one too. So with that said, I want to sell these two. If anybody wants these, they're obviously gonna, you know, I'm obviously not looking for really expensive prices for them, because this one's got a problem that makes it unusable and this one's totally dead. But I want to sell them for whatever I can get for them, so if anybody's interested in either of these, let me know. They both have good batteries, so with this one, I put the 4 gigs of RAM from this one into this one, so this has 4 gigs of RAM, no hard drive in it, but the caddy is in it, and it's got a good 9-cell battery in it. Battery made in late 2017, I bought it in early 2018, and it's got less than 100 cycles on it. So this is probably the part that's worth most on this thing. Good battery. I upgraded the CPU to the T9600, fastest CPU you could buy one of these with. So T9600, 4 gigs of RAM, no hard drive, really good 9-cell battery. There will be nothing in the Ultra Bay. I currently have the Ultra Bay battery in it, but as I said, I will be keeping that. So there will not be an Ultra Bay battery in this. So you'll get it just like that with an empty Ultra Bay. So yeah, that's what this one is, no charger, because I got to keep the charger for the T420S, because that doesn't come with a charger. And then this thing, it's totally dead, so there's going to be no RAM in it, no SSD, no hard drive, no charger, but it takes the standard Dell charger that they used for decades. Completely non-functional, but this too has a good battery, which I will include with it. Good battery that ran it for 3 or 4 hours. And obviously physically, both of these are in good shape. Oh, and this one has the dead USB port too, as I mentioned before. So yeah, that's the lowdown on these. I want to sell them for whatever I can get for them, so if you're interested, give me a shout. Otherwise, they'll be up on my eBay page, The Maritime Girl. And I guess probably in a month or two, the Dell Inspiron 1525 will be up there too, because evidently I'm not gonna keep it around as a spare computer anymore. And other than that, I guess that's just the whole story. Both of my modern laptops dead at around the same time. Such a horrible luck. I can't believe this happened. Because once the ThinkPad started having problems, I was obviously ready to switch to this one, pretty excited to switch to this one, and it just up and died. And really sad, because both of these computers were gifts. This one was a gift from my friend Brandon. This one was a gift from a viewer. This one especially, I think, was extremely generous, because from what I was told, it was pretty much never used. And yeah, these are both gifts from people, and I got a lot of use out of this one. I got a year of use out of it. But this one I'm pretty sad because I didn't use it as much. This one I kept as sort of a backup to the T400. Although I did get one important use out of this for a long time. This was the computer I originally used to call my boyfriend, because this one has a webcam, whereas the T400 doesn't. So I used this for a long time to call my boyfriend, but then eventually I bought a webcam for my desktop and just started using my desktop. But this did serve quite an important purpose for quite a while. But yeah, I'm sad they're both dead. It was sort of an annoyance when this one started breaking down, but I certainly didn't expect this one to just commit suicide. But I guess that's the way these things go when you've been running on mostly free computers for your entire life. That's just the kind of things you risk happening sometimes. This computer was 9 years old and this one's 5 years old, so they weren't exactly spring chickens, but yeah, it's too bad. But I got a T420S coming, really excited, and there will obviously be a video about that when I get it and get it all set up. And other than that, that's it. So, thanks for watching. Press F to pay respects for these two computers, and I'll see you later.